Tonight, when you close your eyes, you will become completely helpless. Your muscles will go limp. Your awareness will vanish. Your body will lie still, warm and breathing in the dark for 8 full hours. And somewhere out there, in the forests and savannas where your ancestors slept for 2 million years, there were things with claws and teeth and night vision that could have ended it all. But they didn't. And that should bother you more than it does. Because here is what nobody tells you about sleep. It is, by every rule of nature, a catastrophically stupid thing to do. You are a warm-blooded, slow-moving, noise-making, calorie-rich animal. And once a night, you voluntarily surrender every defense you have. No running, no fighting, no screaming for help. And yet, here you are, alive. Which means something kept your ancestors breathing through the night for thousands of generations. And the real answer is far stranger than you think. Let's start with the obvious question. Why don't predators just eat sleeping humans? The first thing to understand is that predators are not reckless. A lion, a leopard, a spotted hyena. These animals are not brave. They are strategic. Every hunt is a calculation. How much energy will this cost? How much risk is involved? What are the chances of getting injured? An injury, even a small one, can be a death sentence in the wild. A twisted paw, a broken tooth, a torn muscle. Any of these things can stop a predator from hunting, and a predator that cannot hunt is a predator that starves. So they are not looking for the hardest target. They are looking for the easiest one. And a sleeping human, as helpless as they seem, is not actually an easy target. Here's why. For most of human evolutionary history, humans did not sleep alone. This is one of the most important facts about sleep that modern life has completely erased from your intuition. The solitary bedroom, your bedroom, is a recent invention. For the vast majority of human existence, sleep happened in groups. Anthropologist David Samson, who has spent years studying sleep in traditional hunter-gatherer societies, found something remarkable when he analyzed sleep data from the Hadza people of Tanzania, one of the last remaining hunter-gatherer populations on Earth. He found that in a group of 20 sleeping people, there was almost never a moment when everyone was asleep at the same time. Different people had different sleep schedules. Some were night owls, some were early risers, some woke briefly in the middle of the night. And this meant the group as a whole was almost never fully unconscious. Samson called this the Sentinel Hypothesis. The idea is that staggered sleep schedules within a group evolved specifically to ensure that at any given moment, someone in the group was awake or in a light enough sleep to respond to a threat. Not intentionally, not on a schedule, just biologically. Your body may have been shaped by evolution to sleep lightly or wake briefly precisely because, for 2 million years, your life depended on the group never going completely dark at the same time. Think about what that means. When you sleep in a room with other people, your body is still running an ancient algorithm. And predators, who are very good at reading environments, know this too. But there is another layer to this: fire. For at least 400,000 years, and possibly much longer, humans have slept near fire. Anthropologist Dennis Sandgaith has studied ancient hearth sites and found evidence that fire was not just used for cooking or warmth. It was used at night, specifically at night. Early humans built and maintained fires that burned through the dark hours, and the evidence suggests this was deliberate. Fire does several things that matter enormously to a predator. It illuminates the surrounding area. It creates unpredictable movement and sound. It signals a group of animals that can make more fire. And critically, it triggers a deep instinctual aversion in most large predators. Almost no predatory mammal evolved alongside controlled fire. Nothing in their evolutionary history taught them that fire is manageable. To most predators, fire means danger. Fire means flee. So your sleeping ancestors were not just lying in the open. They were lying in a lit circle, surrounded by other awake or semi-awake members of their group, likely on elevated ground or inside a natural shelter that limited approach angles, and wrapped in smells and sounds that most predators had learned to interpret as high risk. The sleeping human was not undefended. The sleeping human was fortified. But here is where it gets even stranger. Because the defense did not stop at the campfire, your body itself is part of the defense system. When you enter deep sleep, what scientists call slow wave sleep, your body does something counterintuitive. It reduces its thermal signature. Your core body temperature drops. Your breathing becomes slower and more irregular. Your scent changes slightly. You become, in a very literal sense, less detectable. Matthew Walker, a neuroscientist and sleep researcher at the University of California, Berkeley, has described sleep as a state that involves a radical reduction in metabolic broadcasting. The body is not simply resting, it is pulling inward. And while the evidence is still being explored, some researchers believe this thermal and olfactory reduction may have had evolutionary advantages in environments where being sensed by a predator at night was a life or death issue. There is also the question of where humans chose to sleep. Your ancestors were not sleeping on flat, open ground. They were selecting locations the way a military strategist would select a defensive position. High ground where approach was limited, rocky outcroppings where large animals could not move silently, dense brush at the perimeter that would create noise if disturbed, trees in some cases when the threat was severe enough. Primatologist Fiona Stewart conducted research into what she called sleep site selection in early hominids, and her findings suggest that the choice of where to sleep was as cognitively demanding as any other survival behavior. It required spatial memory, threat assessment, and an understanding of predator behavior. The location itself was a defense, and predators knew it. A large predator approaching a group of humans at a well-selected sleep site in firelight was not approaching a vulnerable target. It was approaching something that looked, smelled, and sounded like a trap. The calculus almost never worked out in the predator's favor. But here is the part that changes everything. Here is the counterintuitive twist. The predators that did attack sleeping humans were almost always the exception, and the pattern of those exceptions is revealing. The most documented cases of large predators attacking sleeping humans come from situations where the normal defenses had been stripped away. Lone travelers, injured animals that could no longer hunt their usual prey, starving populations where the risk calculation shifted. The famous man-eating lions of Tsavo, the ones that terrorized railway workers in Kenya in 1898, were studied for over a century after the events. Recent analysis of their tooth structure revealed that at least one of the lions had severe dental damage that made hunting large, healthy prey nearly impossible. The sleeping humans were not the preferred target. They were the accessible one. John Patterson, who hunted and killed the Tsavo lions, documented in his journals that the attacks almost always happened to isolated sleepers or to groups whose fires had gone out. The moment the defenses collapsed, the calculation changed. This is the pattern. The rule is not that predators never attack sleeping humans. The rule is that predators are rational enough not to attack sleeping humans who are properly defended. And for most of human history, sleeping humans were properly defended in ways that modern life has made invisible to us. Which brings us to you. Right now, in your bedroom, with your door locked and your walls between you and the dark, you feel safe in a way your ancestors never quite did. But your nervous system does not know that. Your body still runs the old code. You still sleep lighter when you sense you are alone. You still wake more easily when a sound breaks the silence of the night. You still feel, somewhere beneath conscious thought, that the dark outside your window is not entirely safe. That is not anxiety. That is not a malfunction. That is the Sentinel algorithm still running, still watching, still doing the job it was built to do across 2 million years of nights when the fire needed to be kept burning, and someone needed to be almost awake just in case. Tonight, when you close your eyes, you are doing the most dangerous thing a biological organism can do. And the reason you wake up tomorrow morning is that your ancestors, every single one of them, did it just right.